I was a big comedy nerd when I was a little boy. All I cared about was comedy. I didn't really care about superheroes or anything like that. I just was a big comedy nerd. I just Pee Wee Herman, Uncle Buck, Chris Farley, Dana Carvey, Mike Myers, Bill Murray, comedy nerd. And on Halloween 1997, when ECW came to Connecticut and Chris Farley hosted Saturday Night Live, when I was 16 that weekend, I decided that I was going to go into wrestling and I was going to go into comedy once I graduated high school. I graduated high school, and for the next 12 years, my focus was comedy and wrestling. I don't care what anyone thinks they know. I don't care what anyone says. And people who would disagree with that probably got left behind a long time ago. And for good reason, they got in the way of my comedy and wrestling aspirations. The thing about it was, when I first went in when I was 18 in 1999 and just really first got my first break, it was kind of understood that if you don't make a dent by the time you're 30 for the top level performance companies, WWE or Saturday Night Live, the type of comedy and wrestling that I always wanted to do, that it's don't even bother. After the age of 30, if you hadn't made a dent in comedy or wrestling, you can forget about Saturday Night Live and WWE. And it turned out to be true. Later on in life, I realized that. It didn't discourage me. It just made me work harder. And right down to the very last day, pretty much I, was in LA doing sketch comedy. And I turned 30. I looked around. I said, this isn't worth it anymore. And I came home. And there were things that I did after that, favors for people, but never anything that I actually pursued as a career aspiration or anything that I ever took seriously. There's a reel on this channel of stuff that I did after I turned 30, just a handful of things. But yeah, that was why I quit comedy and wrestling. And then I was burnt out, man. I got hospitalized for being burnt out for a week. They know what was wrong with me. It was, 12 years of comedy and wrestling. At least my focus. I mean, it's not like I just sat around and thought about it. I mean, I was actually doing it. You can Google me and see for yourself. But I just kind of slept it off and rebuilt myself for 4 or 5 years. And when I came out of that, I wasn't very happy. And I just motherfucked the universe for 6 or 7 years. That's probably what you'll find the most of me online. I have no idea what's of me online. My old wrestling and comedy work, I have no idea. But the candid videos like this one are stuff that I've done since I was 35. And I put up some catalogs. I don't know how much is still on there. A lot of it was copyright. But yeah, Google me and you'll find all that stuff. But specifically sketch comedy and specifically pro wrestling, I quit after the age of 30 because I didn't make a dent, any significant dent by 30. And I knew that it was next to impossible for Lorne Michaels or Vince McMahon or Bruce Pritchard or any of those, John Laurinaitis, any of the employers, if you will, top employers of sketch comedy and top employers of pro wrestling, especially for a manager or a kind of a niche sketch comedian to get a job if you haven't made a dent, aka at that point getting extremely over on the internet and going viral with everything you do. And that hadn't happened, so I quit.